How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another episode. Let me fix myself. Welcome back to another episode of Remember Me Daily Readings for Lent. And, since this is the last 2 weeks, Passion Sunday, happy Passion Sunday. You guys made it. Home stretch, guys. Doing a new format, and I have to do it because I don't have my notebook. I left my notebook. I forgot it. I don't have it with me. So we're going to do a new format. So bear with me here. Let's read. Let's do the readings for the fifth Sunday in Lent. The prophet Elias, persecuted by impious Jezebel, retreats into the desert, and having made a day's journey, sinks at the foot of a tree with the prayer, "It is enough, let me die." An angel descending from heaven, touching the prophet, said, "Rise and eat, for a long journey is before you." Rising, he ate the food brought him by the angel, and in its strength it journeyed 40 days and 40 nights until he reached the mount of God. The prophet Elias is the Christian soul traveling through the desert of life. Often wearied by the weight of existence, the exile casts himself down despondently in the shadow of the first rock he meets and cries, "Lord, I have lived long enough. Release me from this world. The source of life and strength is withered within me." Soul of little faith, lift your eyes and see the angel who is at your side. He holds his hand, food prepared in heaven. Take this strengthening manna, and you will rise in full strength for the journey that lies before you. Take this bread. It is Jesus Christ, and Christ is life, and life is bread, as Tertullian says. How many weak souls drag themselves wearily through the shades of a mortal languor, because though they have known the gift of God, they have forgotten to eat their bread, and their soul is what is it? And his soul is enervated like the body of a man who is for a long time has eaten no food. Sorry, guys, I'm a little tired today, but we're going in this. This is the first time I'm reading it too, so I'm reading it with you guys, and it's actually that bread that we're talking about. I would say are the graces from daily prayer, and it is important to pray, to always get that spiritual nourishment. The greatest of all spiritual nourishment, of course, is the Eucharist. Of course, it's the Holy Mass. But some people don't have the privilege of having a daily mass. So if you have it, try to take advantage of it as much as you can, because most people don't. So it's a real privilege to have that. But yes, if we separate ourselves from God, if we separate ourselves from continual prayer, what happens is that we do fall into despair, and we do start asking, like, "Please take me, God, please take me. I'm done with this world." Sometimes we take it upon ourselves. And I would say, for the most part, I haven't really looked into this. Maybe I'll do an episode about this later. But right, shouldn't be asking God for death. It's not. It's not a very good idea to ask God for death, because sometimes God could grant your prayer in the worst possible way. Don't do it. Don't do it. Okay? So, not a very good idea, but like I said, that food that the angel brings us, that food is the graces, the spiritual nourishment that we need through prayer. Constant prayer is important. Do not stop praying. I was telling you about people who I've known who just like fall into despair and they turn bad because they stop praying. Okay, like had a good friend of mine who was praying the rosary, trying to get back into it, trying to get back into the faith. Pray the rosary, was on a good roll, and then he stopped praying. He fell into despair, and now who knows where he's at. I hope he's okay though. But guy's not living the best life that he could be living because he fell into despair. He refused. He stopped going to mass. He stopped praying the rosary, and the man, he fell, and he is, in a sense, right. I don't know where he's at right now, but he is, in a sense, dead, right. He asked God for death, but that's another thing too. There's asking for a physical death, but most people die spiritually. A lot of people die spiritually. A lot of people are quote unquote dead inside. And people think it's like, oh yeah, you just, you're depressed. I'm like, no, you could be the happiest person ever and be dead inside. you know, because that's what happens in mortal sin. You die. You're spiritually dead, right? You're a spiritual zombie. You're walking around on this earth, living life not knowing that you're dead. And what happens when you die in a state of sin, not forgiven by God? You go to hell, where you experience pains that you've never experienced before. So I know this is a shorter episode, but because this is just more like a repeat, right, of what we've been talking about. Don't stop praying. Don't fall into despair. If God is, if you God is uh making you go through a tribulation, just go through it, right. Another thing too is sometimes we have to accept God's chastisement, and we have to do the right things. Sometimes might be in the terms of my former friend, actually, is that you know it could have been a chastisement because God ran into his soul, right. God probably knew something that I didn't, or that only he and God knew himself, and he got a chastisement for it, right. And rather than to prove his love to God and to try to correct things, he just went off the deep end. That's what happens to a lot of people. God will give us challenges, in this life. If we want to if we want to get to heaven, God will test us from time to time. And people say, "Oh, a loving God would never do that." But you know what? Like, we do need to be challenged, just like our parents, just like our mortal parents. They challenge us sometimes to make us into better people. Sometimes we've passed. Most of the times we fail. But the point is to make us better people. And as soon as we realize that sometimes the challenges that God gives us is for our betterment, right? The better that we can grow spiritually. But yeah, going into the desert, we are in the desert right now. If you're doing your devotions, your devotions for Lent, we're in a desert right now. I'm doing certain things, and it does feel like I'm in a desert. It feels like I'm kind of, in a way, um, you know, removed from society. Not fully, of course, because I still have to go to work, but I feel like I'm removed from society. The only difference for me is that unlike the people we've been talking about, right? And just like just like the prophet Elias, um, I am eating the spiritual bread, as much spiritual bread as I can. Hopefully, I think it's been a pretty fruitful Lent, but we'll see. But anyway, that's the end of the episode. Hope you guys had a good one. Keep up your Lenten devotions. Happy Sunday. Happy Passion Week. We're almost there. 2 more weeks to go, ladies and gentlemen. And I'll catch you on the next one. And until then, take care and God bless.